Hey, hi everyone. So we are continuing with our series where we want today to cover what is a REST API, and we'll see a working example, and that example we'll use through our series, right, for the integration to understand end to end, like what all things we need as a part of integration. Okay, we'll try to learn it in the simple terms. Let's not complicate it, right? So we have covered in our first session what is the integration, and by now we are well versed with the concept, right? What is the request payload, what is the response payload, what are the two systems those are communicating, and via which channel those are communicating, right? So we have seen these concepts: request payload, response payload, and the channel over which that request flows and response comes back, right? Now, in another session, we have identified, okay, where we need integration, right? And what are the benefits that integration brings, how it makes the operation run smoothly and avoid chaos, right? Now, today we'll see a working example with a REST API GET request. Okay, so what is a REST API? So you are all aware with the REST API, right? It's a representational state transfer, right? So earlier, before REST API, it was the SOAP API where SOAP was very widely used. But because of some pros and cons between SOAP and REST is preferred nowadays, and it is being used across the industry, right? So with REST, you can consume the APIs from the other system, and you can have that handshake, right, via integration. So with the REST, there are these methods which we'll be taking a look at. So get request to get the record, right? Put request is to update the record. Post request is to create a record, and delete is to delete the record. So basically, these are the four methods that will be focusing. Always, I recommend you to go to the Google and refer to some of the other documentation. It's better if you recommend. Better to recommend is go through the Salesforce documentation, right? There can be additional methods as well, right? So don't rely on this completely. So okay, let's speak of these methods, right? So get, put, post, delete. We'll see an example, working example of get request, right? And as I already told in our previous sessions, a REST API is generally based of the or uses the JSON format, right, for sending the request or request payload and getting the response. So whatever response you're getting as a payload, it's generally a JSON response, right? So I'll show you. Now I have two systems. So if you see here, we have different systems. So say imagine I have this as my Salesforce, and the other system is my Jira. So from Salesforce, I want to send a get request to Jira, and from Jira I want to get a response. So how this functions, let's see. So by now you must have understood, like we need two systems. So this is my Salesforce. If you see here, this is my Jira board, right? Within Jira I have, okay, let me see which task I have open. Okay, say I have this story or task, right, with, or issue with this description and the title or summary. Okay, so now I want to access this from Salesforce. If you see, this is the Jira URL, this is the Salesforce. So I can put that key of this my issue, right? And with the help of just a button, I'll get those details from the comfort of my Salesforce UI. So see, this is how it becomes very easy. You don't need to log in into Jira. You don't need to do anything else. Generally, when we are using a project management tool as a Jira, and from within Salesforce, you want to update your Jira stories or issues. You want to track those from without leaving Salesforce. This becomes very handy if we have this integration. We can do a lot of stuff with the help of this integration. So in our next session, we'll see what are the steps that we have done to make this work. Okay. So we'll stop here and talk about the steps in our next session. Okay. Thank you.